to the entertaining Talkin' Sports.
What is going on, football fans? Back at it with another New York Giants video. And in this video, I'm going to jump into the move that just came out that the New York Giants have suddenly brought in a wide receiver in Dante Pettis. Something that I think a lot of us have been talking about throughout the offseason, that the New York Giants should look to bring in somebody with some kind of credentials at the wide receiver position due to the fact that they're very thin there and they've had injuries throughout the year at that position. Another thing I'm going to touch on is Golden Tate. Golden Tate, of course, was visibly upset this past week about the way that he was being used in the offense. His girlfriend, I think, went to Instagram and voiced her opinion on the matter as well. And Golden Tate has not been happy with his carries. Dante Pettis is very young. He's 25 years old. And I think most of us agree and think that at the end of the year, if the Giants are unable to trade Golden Tate, he will more than likely be a cap casualty due to the fact that he's only a $4 or $5 million dead cap hit, and the Giants could use as much freedom on their cap space as potentially possible. Tate, I think, will be 32 or 33 going into next season, and the Giants are looking to get young, and quite frankly, Tate, while he is still a pretty solid wide receiver, is probably not a future of this football team. He was more of a stopgap wide receiver, which begs the question, with how upset Golden Tate was, would the New York Giants think about potentially moving on from Tate, possibly before the end of the season? We'll have to wait and see how all of that plays out. As far as Pettis goes, Pettis is actually a former early second-round pick out of the University of Washington. I'm going to get into some of the strengths and of his game when he was coming out of college. He's only in his third year in the NFL, was the 40th overall pick by the Niners back in 2018, and he actually had a pretty strong season in which he almost scored for 500 yards. From what I read in 2019, he came in out of shape, and since then he's kind of fallen out of favor with the organization. And of course, the Niners have spent some, early draft capital on bringing in wide receivers over the past couple of years. Guys like Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. So they probably felt that he was expendable, and they actually waived him, just yesterday, and the New York Giants were quick to pounce on him. Everything that I read, a lot of teams were going to show interest in Pettis due to the fact that he has upside. Another thing that I want to touch on with Dante Pettis is he was tremendous in college in terms of being a punt returner. He had 9 punt returns over the course of his career well in college for touchdowns, and that's something that the New York Giants may be looking at. Of course, Joe Judge definitely has an eye for special teams. Well, he may look at Pettis as a guy that could break some big plays for this football team. And of course, add some depth to that wide receiver position. He's pretty tall at 6'1", and he has experience playing both on the inside and the out. Sounds to be the type of wide receiver, not that he's even close, of like a Victor Cruz, a guy that you can bounce both on the inside and the out. Also, he did not have a combine or a pro day due to the fact that he was injured, but it was said that he could run a 40 time about 4.37 coming out of college. So he certainly has some speed. He's got some versatility in the way that you could use him, and I think the New York Giants may very well line him up as a punt returner. Now, the other thing I read is he's not able to join the team due to testing with the virus for at least 5 days. So my guess would be he probably won't be suiting up this week against Washington, and we'll have to wait and see how the New York Giants decide to implement him. But let's jump into some of the strengths of Dante Pettis, formerly of the San Francisco 49ers. The other quick thing I wanted to mention from what I read, the Niners cut him this week. He had a huge fumble in last week's game, and the San Francisco 49ers fell out of favor with him. In terms of his statistics, well, here they are. He's been non-existent this year. He's had 1 start. He's got 0 yards on 1 target. Like I said, they've got a lot of young weapons there, and he kind of fell back on the depth chart. His rookie year, like I said, he had 27 catches for 467 yards and 5 touchdowns, averaging over 17 yards of reception. And that was actually the year where I think Nick Mullins was the starting quarterback for the Niners last year, probably due to the fact that, from what I read, he came in a little bit out of shape, and they drafted, some early wide receivers. He fell down the depth chart and really hasn't gotten an opportunity to see the field since, other than on punt returns. So hasn't done much with the Niners, but definitely a kid that's only 25 years old that still may have an opportunity to carve out some kind of niche on a football team. In terms of his strengths coming out of college, well, this is what they said. Good athlete with explosion traits, can play outside or from the slot, fine-tuned route runner known for his work ethic, runs a full route tree, accelerates off the line, and sinks hips into breaks for sharp turns and additional separation. Impressive short area quickness for a receiver with his stride. Moves cornerbacks around with route savvy and effective fakes. Scrambles to uncover when the quarterback leaves the pocket. Works back to throws. Natural pass catcher with stick and stay hands. So a lot of good things coming out of college. It's why he was the 40th overall selection by the Niners. Definitely a guy much like Corey Coleman that's disappointed since he's been in the league, but a guy that could certainly help us in special teams if the New York Giants decide to utilize him that way. The other really good thing about Pettis, because he was a second-round pick, he doesn't make a lot of money, and the New York Giants have him under full team control for another year through 2021. So at a bare minimum, it sounds like Pettis could probably at least contribute to be a guy that might make an impact as a punt returner. And like I said, the Giants weren't the only team that was interested in him. I saw several teams that were potentially interested in him. There were articles written about the Jets and a few other teams that may have had interest bringing him in. And with as thin as the New York Giants are at this position, the fact that he's still only 25, he has upside, and he could contribute in multiple ways. To me, this is a no-brainer. I think it's a really good pickup by the New York Giants. We'll see how they use him, and we'll see what the future of Golden Tate is. Like I said, I don't think Tate will be here in 2021. The question is, has he fallen out of favor for the rest of the year? I would guess probably not. I think Golden Tate will probably play the rest of the year, but that remains to be seen. But good luck, Dante Pettis. The New York Giants certainly could use you, as we need as much help at that position as we could get. As always, guys, if you like what you watch, please subscribe. Drop a comment. Maybe give me a little thumbs up. Cheers.